perhaps this is the way we've personified it in a marketing company, but I would argue all companies have a marketing division in them, so you could take it forward, is it's really about what are the business outcomes and what is the strategy, and then how are we going to execute and operationalize it. So I think sometimes what happens in IT is, although it's still an IT strategy, it's more about an operational strategy versus a true, how are we going to make money off of this strategy? So in the case of digital, the approach has been, what is our true strategic intent here? And what is either the revenue associated with it, or the ability to influence our brand, or thirdly, where we want to make sure we're driving thought leadership or user experience. Now, all of these are translatable from the IT arena, and in fact, I would argue that the best CIOs do this already, but I think a very small portion do it. So the example I would give you is the user experience. So getting the user experience right is a tough nut to crack, because oftentimes you'll say everything would work perfectly if it wasn't for the user. And so part of this is really understanding this is how a user works with technology, and hence we need to design around the user versus training them. And I think that's the one wonderful thing, many wonderful things Apple brought, but that's one wonderful thing that they brought, is putting the user first. And when you think of user experience in the digital arena, it's exactly the same as, why are people going to consume your product? And it's because you give such a wonderful user experience. Now, at the same point in time, user experiences doesn't necessarily go hand in hand with profitability and revenue, as Facebook knows. So there is that component, which might be a little bit new. How do you make money off of this? But some of it is people are willing to experiment in smaller spaces and say, because this is technology and it might have some business disruption, we should experiment in these pieces. And the last piece, which I think is really important in terms of evolved IT organizations, is this whole concept of business outcomes versus SLAs. And it's not an or, it's an and. So of course you need to have an SLA. The system needs to be up 98% of the time, needs to drive these cost savings, etc. But I think in terms of articulating things in terms of business outcomes is far more important. So the business outcome is, they don't want 99.9% availability because they want 99.9% availability. They want it because when they need to go get their job done, they need to be able to do it. And so that's the business outcome. The other business outcomes could be around, you want to be able to interact with people in different countries and share knowledge. So that's your collaboration platform. But again, your 99.9% SLA is so that they can share information when they need to. So speaking in terms of those business outcomes, I think really lend itself very beautifully to the digital arena.